page. That's how we open in the video, bro.
2000 ES, yeah, OCOEE. On the phone, cause the labels wanna know me. Got the Lord leading me, that's why I'm moving slowly. Asking what my vision is, I gotta keep it holy. I don't need a bunch of people around me acting phony.
When I'm trying to get back in the zone, that's like the main thing I do. Hop right in the chest, tries, biceps. I skip legs for like 3 months until I'm like back consistent. I think I want to just share more of like the mindset behind like overcoming adversity while I'm working out. Like I'm not necessarily like a personal trainer or a fitness expert. It's just that I appreciate the direct correlation between lifting, working out, and how that enhances the mind. And through working out and helping people understand like the role, not the role, but helping people understand how important it is to include God in their life, like those are the messages I want to get across. Like whether you're an athlete, whether you're brand new to working out, or if you're working out your whole life, there's more to life than just being fit. Like as I'm looking to grow the brand, I just feel like I don't always have to be pushing the brand in people's faces. Like this shirt is dope, but it's also loud. It gets the message across, which is good. But I just want it to feel organic and authentic. Like I don't want it to necessarily feel forced. Like dang, bro, he's shoving it in front of my face. But then the other side of me too is just like, that's the whole point, is to push the message. You know what I'm saying? It's not just to sell clothes or anything. It's to push a message to inspire people to, want to build a stronger relationship with God. And sometimes it takes boldness to do that. I feel like this shirt will help accomplish that. So, but we'll get it as we continue to do more stuff. We'll get it. I'm really at a point in my life where I want to get as consistent as I possibly can in the gym. I was pretty consistent for quite a while, but I fell off because I got stressed. I'm sure we all can relate to that. But a lot of you guys know I really went full-fledged into my brand, GLM, God Lifts Me, because I felt like that's where God was leading me. And I took a huge leap of faith, and things started off really, really strong. But I think at that point, the brand was still at the point where I had to reinvest every single penny. And I just didn't have enough left over to support my lifestyle, continue to invest in the business at the same time. So it felt like at the time things came crashing down, and I was really, really confused because I was so clear that this was the plan God had me, going down, that the plan that God had laid out for me. So we're at the point now where, I feel like I got a really clear idea of what to do going forward. I feel like the last year has brought a lot of clarity. It's also brought a lot of direction. And while it's been extremely stressful, looking back, I need to go through those really tough times. One, to build a stronger relationship with God, build much stronger faith with God. And two, to actually put the right pieces in place to take GLM to the vision that God ultimately set out for it to be. So I'm at a point now where, I'm just working on being more consistent with training, being more consistent in my spiritual life, praying more, seeking the Holy Spirit, reading the Bible. And from there, man, I feel like I just got a much stronger foundation to build GLM upon. And I'm excited to see what comes next. So I'll be sharing with you guys the journey of continuing to build the brand, continue to take it to that next level so that it can impact the world and really inspire people to build a stronger relationship with God. Because at the core of all the clothes, the designs, the content, the videos, at the core of all that is to inspire people to build a stronger relationship with God, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that lasts. That's the only thing that lasts.
A2000 EST, that's that OCOEE. It's a war in the city, it's a war outside. You spread lies, it's a war in the mind. Let your kingdom come, let it fall right now. Bet your kingdom come, let it fall right now. In the same world, we don't fight the same.
Sure, right first. Something about working at coffee shops that bring out the creativity. Crisp. I used to never drink coffee, but when I actually started working on GLM, I would work during the day, and like late afternoon, I'd go to a coffee shop and work on GLM. And obviously, I was drained at that point from working all day, and just being in a coffee shop. Naturally, I would just start getting lattes, black coffees. And now it's just like it's a way to boost my energy a little bit, get that little pick me up. It's crazy because like I used to never drink coffee ever, and it's still not something I need to do every single day. But I feel like when I'm working on the brand, drinking coffee kind of helps put me in that zone a little more, especially first thing in the morning when my mind's already clear. It's just that extra boost. So something I really like to do a lot is I put a lot of like my thoughts. I write a lot in here, but I also put a lot of thoughts into my like notes tab on my iPhone, and I got all kinds of things. The dream collaborations I want with the brand. What problem does GLM solve? GLM trends, all these different things. This is kind of where I keep a lot of my ideas when they pop into my head. But I was kind of telling a story last night. When GLM I was forced to come to a halt with the brand because I got pretty upset because things weren't necessarily going the way I wanted. I was really confused because I knew it was the direction God was taking me in, but nothing kind of seemed to be working out, especially the way I thought it would. But what I started doing was I started like analyzing different brands across the world. Luxury brands, streetwear brands, athleisure brands, and I really started looking at their numbers. And what I noticed was a lot of these companies, they generate significant revenue, but they're operating on like razor thin margins. And when you're barely profitable or you're only profitable by like a small margin, that makes it really hard to like actually stay in the business, because for businesses to survive, they need oxygen, which is they need profit. And when I looked at all those companies, I realized, oh shoot, like the way I was building GLM, it wasn't necessarily sustainable. Meaning, we could generate lots of sales, we could generate significant revenue, but the way I was marketing, the way we were moving, we weren't going to be generating much profit. And if that's the case, like that's not a desirable recipe for long-term success. And my original vision for GLM is to get it to like an 8-figure, 9-figure level. Like I want GLM to be one of the most inspirational brands in the world, like bar none. So what that made me do is take a step back, not feel as rushed as I felt when I went full-time into the brand, and really focus on 3 pillars. So the 3 pillars I'm really dialed in on right now is creating an excellent product, telling the story of the brand in a way that resonates with people in an excellent way, so excellent storytelling, and also creating an excellent customer experience. So in the last 4 to 5 months, I've been really dialed in on the first thing, and that's just creating an excellent product. Like, people love the message of God lifts me. It resonates with them, it inspires them, it gives them hope, right? But if we're only selling t-shirts with that message, we're only going to be able to put price the products at a certain point, and at some point, like it's gonna get old. So I've really been focused on creating a product for GLM that's like our flagship product, our hero product. For example, people come to GLM for the joggers, or people come to GLM for the shorts because it's such a significant product in their lives. And also they really appreciate the message. Like that's kind of the vision I'm going for when it comes to creating an excellent product. So been really dialed in on just creating that flagship product. And then 2, like the phase I'm in now with the brand, now that we got some strong, I think, products in place or designs set, where I'm really going with the brand is telling the story in an excellent way. I think before we really relied on Instagram Reels to go viral to generate sales. And while that was helpful, I think people resonated with GLM more from like, oh, this is a motivational page more than like, this is a sportswear brand that creates dope gear. And I want to accomplish both. When people come across GLM, I want them to be inspired on a level they've never been inspired before. But I also want them to be like, dang, like the gear is dope. So we have to structure the content in a way that accomplishes both those things and not only accomplishes one of them. So like those are like the two main things I've really been dialed into for like the last 4 or 5 months, and really taking my time to hone in and do things right so that the brand can have longevity in the long run. Building something and having it be successful is understanding the fact that it's not gonna go the exact way you think it's going to go. Because when I first set out to build GLM, and you know, once again, this is a vision God gave me. I'm not even a fashionable person, but he gave me this vision to build this thing. I just became really inspired by product and how product could speak to people and inspire people. I thought it was just going to be a straight line up, like I was going to launch the brand and we were going to take off. But there's been just so many different learning lessons along the way. And the craziest thing about all this is when I went full time with the brand, I still got that really big vision for it, right? And we started off good, but things fell apart. I thought it was over. I was like, God, like what in the world is going on? You told me to do this. You told me to go full time. Yet things seem to be falling apart with it. Like it made no sense to me. And the craziest part about it all was like people were still asking about the gear. People like were still like asking when I'm gonna drop this, drop that. Like the content was still going viral, but the sales weren't necessarily popping as quickly as I needed them to. They were coming, but they weren't coming at the point to where I could still sustain my lifestyle and reinvest back in the brand. And when all that came crashing down, it was just so confusing to me. And what I had to do at that time is literally like make a decision like, okay, things aren't working out the way I want them to, but I'm still gonna trust God anyways. I'm gonna follow God anyways. And it was once I made that decision, certain things started unfolding, and God was actually showing me that I needed to slow down. It was a part of his plan. I needed to slow down because one, I was making GLM an idol. That was like the main thing I was focused on. I was obsessing over it, which is never a good thing, you know, for something to become your identity. That's one thing God was showing me, was I need to slow down for that reason. And then two, once again, I wasn't building the brand in a way where it was going to be sustainable. So not only was God showing me, hey bro, like you're becoming obsessed with this thing, it's becoming your identity. I gave you the vision, but it's not your identity. So like focus back on me, follow me. He was revealing that to me in that really tough season. And the second thing is just, he showed me that I had to slow down to even see or learn how to build the brand the right way. So in that period of slowing down, I was able to learn so much about business, so much about just revenue, the difference between revenues and profits, and how to set the right foundations in place to actually put the brand on a good track. So the thing is like when you're in your absolute darkest season, in whatever way that may be, God could just be pruning you from some things that are not good for you so that you can come back to what matters most, the relationship with him. And when you experience a certain level of success and you start to see things taking off, you don't necessarily become obsessed with it and it becomes your idol, and then boom, that throws you back further than you ever were. So those are just like some really important things I learned in that like really tough season. And I think too, you just have to go in with the mindset that things, that as much as you want things to work out, they will in the long term, but it's not going to be the exact way you think
So you have to be agile, you have to be flexible, you have to be able to make adjustments along the way. And that's just been the biggest thing for me. So now, what was my darkest season now seems to have been like the biggest blessing. And quite honestly, I don't feel like I'm in a rush to build this thing anymore. If this is what God has called me to do, it's gonna be built. He's gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the biggest thing, man. I used to feel so rushed all the time. Like, oh, I gotta hurry up and build this brand. There's all these other brands popping up. This is a Christian brand. This is a Christian brand. All these competitors. Like, no, man, that's nonsense. Whatever God has for you, it is for you. You just have to be patient. You have to surrender to Him. And when He gives you direction, don't just run in that direction and don't seek Him anymore. Like, continue to seek Him while you're following the direction He has you in. That was like a real challenge for me, was understanding that, you know, things weren't necessarily going to happen the way I anticipated. So one time my pastor, the craziest thing about this was my pastor would literally be talking about, you know, how God will bring you out of different situations. And I'm just like, bro, like, I was like, bro, is that actually true? Because it don't seem like God's bringing me out of this situation. But one time he said, like, there are gonna be things you have to do that feel annoying. There's gonna be seasons in your life that feel annoying. And at this point in time, like, I was reading Exodus, and literally, like, God gave me this word, and it's totally relatable to my situation at the time. So here's what God was telling me through that sermon. So I literally wrote it down in my journal. God gave you a vision of the promised land. Like, He gave Moses a vision of the promised land, right? So God's telling me, God gave you a vision of the promised land. You're going to have to go through the wilderness to get there. But He's going to provide for you while you're in it. It may not be provision in the exact way you want it to be, but nonetheless, it's provision. You may have to do or experience things that seem annoying, but it's simply a part of the journey. Be grateful for what He does provide, and keep your eyes on Him and where He's taking you, no matter what the current environment looks like. Don't whine, don't complain, just be grateful and be thankful, and most of all, be obedient to Him. Like, that was huge for me, man, because I'm literally reading about how the Israelites God's doing all these miracles, and they're still like complaining, and like they would take it for granted at times, and like God would just bless them with all these things, but it wasn't like blessings and provision the way they wanted, so they would keep complaining about it. And I had to realize that, you know, God showed me what the vision is for what my calling is on my life in building GLM, but I'm just gonna have to go through the wilderness to get there. But I just have to make sure I'm not whining and complaining and being ungrateful in that process, right? And just keep my eyes focused on like where He's taking me, and also most importantly, my relationship with Him. And like those are like the core things that I want to share when it comes to the brand. Like, how can I share that message in a way where maybe people haven't seen it in that lens before, whether it's through a design on the t-shirt, the way a certain joggers fit, the way they look with, you know, a certain pair of shoes, and just kind of remind people of things like that. You know, God's got a vision for you. You're going to get there. Just follow Him, but understand you might have to go through the wilderness on your way there.
Yeah. We about to rewrite the family history. We going up like the Statue of Liberty.